Today on The Report, a Torrance man was identified as a suspect in White House dinner shooting.
A new study reveals Kraken-like octopuses roaming the prehistoric seas.
College students are changing courses in search of AI-proof majors.
And Michael Jackson's biopic breaks box office records. The report starts now.
Welcome back to The Report. I'm Sergio Gonzalez.
And I'm Geraldine Martinez.
Stay in the loop and get updated on campus news by following us on Titan TV's Instagram and TikTok account at Titan TV CSUF. On April 24th, a suspect identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen allegedly fired shots at the White House Correspondents' Dinner after attempting to force his way through a security checkpoint at the Washington Hilton Hotel. On Monday, April 27th, Allen was charged in federal court with 3 counts, including attempted assassination of the president, using a firearm in a crime of violence, and transporting a firearm in interstate commerce. Investigators say Allen's online activity suggests a possible political motive with intent to target government officials. Prosecutors also report that Allen traveled from California to Washington, D.C., carrying multiple knives, firearms, ammunition, and an all-black outfit. The day after the attack, Donald Trump spoke in a 60-minute interview with Norah O'Donnell, responding to a manifesto linked to the suspect. Trump denied claims made in the document, stating he is not a rapist or a pedophile. When asked whether the manifesto referred to him, Trump interrupted the interview, calling O'Donnell a disgrace. U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, says additional charges are expected as the investigation continues. Allen is currently being held in custody pending further proceedings. Okay, so this one was quite the event. I mean, we all saw it online, just all the speculation everywhere. There was a lot of, was this a stage thing? What exactly happened here? There was just a lot of question marks there. I just wanted to know, what were your personal takes or just, I guess, takeaways from what had happened at the Correspondents' Dinner?
You know, there's a lot of things, and I think one of them that had captured my attention was a video where everyone was kind of like panicking, but you see Trump kind of calm, stated, just very just like, okay, well, this is how it goes. So a lot of people, I think within that video itself, people were saying maybe it's staged. And then there's other controversies that the one from Torrance was actually one that graduated from Cal State Dominguez Hills. As stated, of course, the colleges kind of did not say anything. They didn't want to say like, oh, I'm not sure if this is true or not, that he actually was a student there. There's so many controversies about this. And then, you know, I don't know how I feel about this one. I mean, I believe this would be his like 3rd attempt in assassination towards this towards the president. I think it's a lot of speculations at this point, but I don't know how you feel about if it's like staged or if it's like, you know, people are not liking him.
No, of course. Especially when you consider the fact that you mentioned like it's 3 assassination attempts at this rate. But I felt like there were a lot of question marks. I don't know about you, but I recently saw footage of how he even entered the building. They had just released that security footage. And even then it was just like kind of alarming to see the way it had happened and the way security was supposedly not like watching the door or like the scene as much as they should have. I did find things a little bit conflicting. I know we saw a bunch of videos and I did see they escorted J.D. Vance so fast. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. I definitely saw that one. I did see a few, like I remember one, I think he had a pregnant wife and the pregnant wife was actually covering him.
Yeah, that was insane.
I was like, wait, I thought it was the other way around, but okay. Like, and then there is like they're making memes out of her, but Melania Trump looked very scared, and then Trump is just looking at his wife like, this is nothing new.
Exactly, yeah. And then you even mentioned like looking at Trump, like even then he didn't even seem to be too urgent in the moment, and just, I mean, obviously you have Secret Service like jumping all over him and all that, but even then he did not seem alarmed. And even then that can raise a question. But I mean, overall, I mean, the situation, it's odd to see. I did also see that Carolyn Levitt, she had commented on what had happened, and she was, in my opinion, being kind of hypocritical and saying like, oh, this is result of the Democrats and whatnot, but it's like at the end of the day, this guy had a firearm in hand. and who did that. So
I think we also saw even Erica Kurt in
yes.
one of those. She was one of the guests as well, and you know, they even speculated that, you know, she was crying again. She was crying. Some people say that it was a video that was her crying, and that, you know, it even looked like it was staged for her as well. And I think she did comment the next day or a couple days after that incident, saying like, you know, it was real. People are making fun of me and all of that. So again, a lot of controversies just for this dinner party. So.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I heard that her face flipped. I didn't see that exact footage, but I thought her saying, she was quoted saying, I just want to be home. I thought that was also kind of interesting considering her recent tour.
I love how just people have been just speculating and just, you know, having a great eye on just like looking at little things and seeing like maybe it's been staged. Like, you know, who never knows? Yeah.
It's an interesting weekend, that's for sure.
It is very interesting, yes. Scientists unleashed the Kraken as they uncovered fossilized remains belonging to 2 giant octopuses on Vancouver Island in Canada, with additional remains found in northern Japan. A new study was posted on April 23rd, revealing that the octopuses lived during the Cretaceous period alongside predators such as sharks and Mosasaurus, measuring up to 60 feet long and possessing powerful beak-like jaws similar to a bird's beak. German paleontologist Jörg Mutterlus and his team utilized a new technique in paleontology called digital fossil mining, which allowed them to easily cut through sediments and make a 3D reconstruction of the fossils. The recovered jaw remains were the largest jaw ever found on prehistoric octopus that scientists used to calculate its arm span and size, including indication of early evidence of advanced intelligence over 100 million years ago, predating other early octopus species. Mutterlus comments on the uncovered species, quote, "Just a few fossil findings may shed very new light on the evolution of the biosphere," end quote. He also comments on their environment as a very majestic view. So the Kraken did exist. We heard stories. We also seen like movies like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's also mentioned that there was a Kraken. Now that we kind of hear and see like fossils just like coming out and seeing that there was 2 octopuses that roamed around prehistoric eras. How do you feel? Do we think that we kind of have like new evidence and how we kind of perceive other modern squids that live around here? Like, what is your thoughts?
I feel like we do. I feel like it's also very exciting to see when they take those next steps in research, of course, but especially in this one. I mean, like, there's always, like, we've always said, like, oh, release the Kraken, like, we've seen it in the movies and all, and to kind of see that it is, like you mentioned, it does exist, and, like, in the way it's being found and also, like, exposed as well, I feel like it's really cool. I am personally a sucker for these discoveries. Like, I feel like every time we talk about it or I just see it, like, in general, it's always super interesting to me, and it's, I mean, we've always talked about, like, what is, the ocean is so deep. Like, I love that the curiosity, like, we always bite into the curiosity. We always want to see more. And scientists are never satisfied enough to, like, just keep going. And I feel like when we make these discoveries, it's that much more incredible.
Yeah, I mean, octopuses that were like 60 feet long. I mean, it was even longer than even Mosasaurus. I think Mosasaurus were just as long, a little bit more. And like megalodons were like about 50 feet. So to think that it's like 10 feet longer than a megalodon, that's kind of like incredible and quite scary. I'm really glad that they're actually extinct because
60 plus feet.
Insane.
Like, that's twice of this board. Like,
it's incredible. It's kind of it's nice to actually see what we have found and probably add on to museums. And also, I don't know if it's given a name. I mean, are they going to call it Kraken or just like a big squid?
I think we should, right?
I know, like we call it the Kraken. I mean, we were talking about it the legends are real, we'll call it Kraken.
What if they did a spin on like, you know how there's always the Soars when it comes to dinosaurs? They always add Soars, like Octosaurus, something like
Octosaurus.
an octopus.
Like an octopus dinosaur.
Yeah. 60 feet. You might as well classify it as one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call it the Kraken.
Yep.
Call it the Kraken. That's a new one.
A rise in artificial intelligence has made university students feel threatened in their future job searching, according to the Institute of Politics at the Harvard Kennedy School. Recent Gallup polling finds U.S. workers are increasingly concerned about being replaced by new technologies. Most of the concern is focused towards students pursuing degrees in technology and vocational areas of study, where students feel a need to develop an expertise in AI but also fear being replaced by it. Some students are switching to majors they believe are more AI-proof, focusing on skills like creativity, communication, and critical thinking that are harder for AI to replace. Today's college students say that picking a major that is AI-proof feels like shooting at a moving target as they prepare for a job market that could be different by the time they graduate. Ava Lawless, a data science major at the University of Virginia, said, quote, "I'm at a point where I'm thinking if I can't get a job being a data scientist, I might as well pursue art. Because if I'm going to be unemployed, I might as well do something I love," end quote. Educators say the best preparation is a mix of technical knowledge and human-centered skills, but there's a lot of uncertainty about the future job market. So over this past year, there's been a ton of advancement in AI, and it's just been something that's been progressing as time and time goes on. We've always had these discussions of where is AI going to take us, how exactly is AI going to take over, and now we're seeing that it's kind of obvious, but it's translating into the classroom. And in this case, so much of AI can really just replicate or even do better of what some certain students want to do in school. So I just kind of wanted to know your overall take on just the overall power of AI.
Well, I think we're actually starting to see it now here at Cal State Fullerton, where a lot of these professors and teachers are actually doing these events where they're talking about how AI is actually translating and converting into these other jobs and preparing the students here at Cal State Fullerton to kind of be aware, but also to take knowledge of what AI can do. I know that we have a lot of mixed feelings about AI, how it could be very great and some could be very detrimental towards everybody, especially job opportunities for us, especially the ones who are graduating or either getting their bachelor's or their master's, either way. For me, I think it's very appropriate if our faculties here can show us how to use AI in a very positive and kind of very critical way, not to use AI as much to destroy their creative and what they worked hard for. So I think in a way it's kind of a hit and miss for me. But if we use AI and we actually show our students these technologies in an appropriate manner, I think we could learn how to not steer it into a different direction.
I agree. And I kind of wanted to just add on that in the sense that I feel like I have seen a little bit of it here, and I know that it's becoming more of a nationwide thing where professors, teachers, like whoever case may be, they're taking those steps to kind of use AI, or not use AI, but to elaborate on AI and kind of just lecture students on how to properly use it to our advantage, and to obviously there's a fine lining of just like what is crossing the line with AI and what is like properly using it. And I think being educated on that in the way that they are, I feel like is extremely efficient. I do think I do feel pretty sympathetic for a good chunk of these majors in the sense that a lot of their hard work may be discredited, or just maybe it's just easier for them to utilize AI and they're like, I want this more in my brain, but it's hard not to use that or like to confirm particular information with that in that sense. So I understand the frustrations. I think it is, it's a really touchy thing in the sense that, we don't know where AI is going to go except further. So to just kind of like keep an eye out for it now and just to see what we can do with it now is crucial. And I do like that we're taking those steps, but it's also, like we mentioned, like it's progressing over time. So, but I do like the steps that professors are taking and just overall like making sure that we can use that to our advantage and all.
Yeah, possibilities of also having classes to to imply AI systems as well. Michael Jackson's long-awaited biopic has danced its way into the history books, as the film Michael delivered a record-breaking opening weekend at the global box office. The film brought an estimate $97 million domestically, shattering the previous domestic record for a musical biopic held by Straight Outta Compton, and also tallied more than $200 million worldwide. The King of Pop is portrayed by his real-life nephew Jafar Jackson, and despite mixed reviews from critics, fans around the world are embracing the celebration of Jackson's musical career that is displayed in the movie. The film has sparked debate over the decision to stop the story shy of Jackson's later life controversies. But with the strong opening numbers, an opportunity for a sequel film will likely be in play at some point. The success has also translated to music streaming services, where U.S. streams of Jackson's catalog jumped by 95% over the movie's opening weekend. Hollywood will now be watching to see if Michael can sustain its momentum and whether the King of Pop's story on screen has more to be told. You know, everybody has known about Michael Jackson. Everybody loves his music. Personally, I haven't seen the movie yet. I know that you probably have seen the movie.
Yes,
so what
did.
is your reviews? What is your opinion on this film?
Yeah, I thought the film was incredibly well done in terms of storytelling, cinematography, accuracy. Like, Jafar Jackson did an incredible job. And people say, like, oh, there's nobody better to be Michael Jackson than current Jackson. I felt like he did incredible. And just given the fact that he wasn't even an actor before, he had zero experience in the field. And then he went in, he trained, he did all that. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, like this guy is Michael Jackson. Like that is a compliment. I thought it was an incredible movie. Kind of like based, oh my God, what you had said about people saying that they wish his controversies were in there. I agree. I kind of expected that, but it does make sense. I know that the Jackson family did play a big part in the movie, and that's something that they probably didn't necessarily want to highlight, but it definitely is still the story, so I think it would be interesting if they were to incorporate that in a Michael 2. But overall, I thought it was an incredible film, and just everything about it, like, all the hype is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I think I have seen a few interviews about Jafar saying, like, one of the interviews stating, like, what was, like, one of the most personal film sets that he had to partake in. He said something about along the side of the Pepsi commercial where he actually did get burned. And I guess it was more of an emotional response to how his uncle was dealing with all of the pain and also the suffering and trying to get into his own legacy for his self-identity, you could say that. So I'm hoping, I'm going to see it actually this weekend, so
Nice.
I'm pretty excited. I've loved Michael Jackson. One of my favorite songs from him, it has to be Smooth Criminal. So to hear those musics, I'm hoping to actually dance in my seat. So hopefully.
You should.
Definitely.
You definitely grooved throughout, so
Okay.
I loved it. And that wraps up with our recent news of today.
Make sure to stay tuned for more news, views, and info.
Don't forget to follow at Titan TV CSUF on Instagram to stay updated with our weekly episodes.
We'll see you on the next episode of The Report.